Hello and welcome to this B2 video for GCSE Science and Biology. Now, as you know, living things are made of many cells, or often are made of many cells, and we say they are multicellular. The only issue is though the cells can't work alone by themselves. They have to work together, and it's much more organized and efficient for the cells to join together to become specialized for a particular job and to do a job in a more organized way. And the way this works is we have, at the very simplest level, we have cells, and they can join together, become specialized, and join together with other similar cells and become tissues, and those tissues can then join to make organs, and the organs can then join to make organ systems. Now, one example might be to look at nerve cells, and they join together to make nerve tissue, and these different kinds of tissues can join together to make the organs, and the organs might be something like the brain or the spinal cord for this particular system, and then these organs join together to make the whole system, which is, in fact, you probably can tell by now, the nervous system. Okay, so that's just one example of one system and how it breaks all the way down to these simple units that we call cells. Now, there are three particular kinds of cells and tissues that you need to know about for this specification, and the first one is over here. It's the muscle cells. So here I've got a simple diagram of one muscle cell, and to make the tissue we would need lots of these joined together to carry out the particular function of being able to contract and therefore allow movement. Okay, so as you can see, we've got all these cells working together. This is muscle tissue, and they can contract, which allows movements. Another type of tissue is shown by these cells over here, and these are what we call epithelial cells, and these are just cells that cover surfaces, designed for a kind of protection, if you like, but they're epithelial cells, and I've just drawn two kinds here. This one looks a bit like a paving slab kind of shape, I suppose, but you can see that lots of these joined together can make a nice surface for something. Another type of epithelial cell is this one here. It's more like a column, and it's actually got a name called columnar epithelium, and it's arranged more like this. So I guess that would give a slightly thicker layer than this kind of epithelium. Okay, so that's another kind of tissue, and this last one down here is what we call glandular tissue, and this is the kind of tissue that makes up glands, and it produces things like enzymes and hormones. Okay, so these are three particular types of tissue that you need to know about, and you also need to know an example of an organ that uses these three kinds of tissue, and the organ that we have that does use these three is the stomach. This is supposed to be a diagram of the stomach. Okay, now if I was to look inside it, just take that top layer off. Don't know why I need to do that, but if you take the top layer off and look inside, you'll notice that there is three different kinds of tissue that are all involved in the working of the stomach. So we have muscular tissue, and this is found in the wall of the stomach, and the job of the muscular tissue is to help digest the food by churning and mixing all the digestive juices, the enzymes, together so that you get a better and you get more efficient digestion. Epithelial is actually found on just the inside cover there, but it's also found on the outside as well. So you've got epithelial tissue on the inside and outside. You've got a layer of muscular tissue, but we also have just on the inside here, just below the epithelial tissue, we have glandular tissue, and this in fact in the stomach produces acid, but it also produces certain types of enzymes for digesting protein. Okay, so one example of an organ that has these three important tissues in them is the stomach, and you need to know the details about those aspects and the tissues and the jobs that they do. And then it makes sense that if we've looked at the stomach, it might also make sense to look at the digestive system as a whole. And here is a picture of the parts of the digestive system. You actually do need to know the names of these parts that I have labelled here. You can see it on the diagram itself, but it might be clearer to look at what I've written on the side. We've got the stomach, which is here, the small intestine, which is this whole region here. We've got the large intestine, which is the slightly darker structure that goes around the outside. We've got the liver. I haven't actually got the salivary glands in here, but I think it might be fairly obvious. Salivary glands are in the mouth producing saliva. And we've got the pancreas as well. Now the pancreas isn't very clear on this diagram, but it looks something like this. So it's a leafy shaped type of organ, and it actually just tucks in here behind the large intestine there, and is linked to the small intestine as the beginning part of the small intestine. So you need to know those labels. You also need to know what the these different parts do as well. So I won't spend too long on it because it's just a question of you sitting there and learning it, but just briefly, salivary glands, they produce saliva, as you know, which has an enzyme which starts the process of digestion. The liver produces a substance called bile. The large intestine, well, that's where water is absorbed, and when the water is absorbed from all the undigested food or undigestible food, it produces something called feces, which is just another word for poo. The small intestine has the job of digestion and absorption of soluble food, so it will finish off the process of digestion and then absorb all the nutrients that it requires into the body, into the blood. And the stomach, you could just say, as part of digestion, mixes the food as it gets into your body, mixes it with acid, mixes it with protein, digesting enzymes, and is the first one of the first ports of call in terms of digestion. The pancreas itself over here is a gland, and it produces enzymes and I didn't finish that off. Produces enzymes and a couple of hormones. And those hormones, you might recall from another topic, are insulin and another one called glucagon. Okay, but these are the key parts of the digestive system and what they do. And that's all I want to talk about for today. See you again soon.